Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I'm your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live and in living color here with you only on Grande's Graveyard. Welcome back to another edition of the show where tonight we count down my top 10 favorite horror movie scenes. Yes, not just horror movies, no horror sequences, but favorite horror scenes. So we got a list of 10. I'm very excited here tonight to share my list with all of you. Sorry for the delayed start. I had a couple of things, technical difficulties, and I was looking for a DVD that for the life of me I could not find for a visual display because I figured instead of doing the sharing the posters and stuff, I actually have the physical copies of all 10 movies that will be mentioned here tonight. So I was like, oh, let me show them all. For whatever reason, I couldn't find one of them. So that one's on me. I was kind of just looking for it, and I was like, you know what? I just kind of give up. I feel like starting the show. I didn't want to keep you all waiting too goddamn long, but 15 minutes is 15 minutes. So if you wasted your 15 minutes, I'm very sorry about that. Hopefully, the rest of this goddamn show on my top 10 horror movie scenes of all time list will make up for that. And without further ado, let's get into the chat here. Of course, Miss C was here way before we went live. Ciao, Grande, Graveyardian friends. What's going on, Miss C? Hope all is well with you. We got AJ's Happy Fun Time channel asking the pivotal question of the hour, the $64,000 question. Where the fuck is this guy? Well, I was looking for a goddamn DVD and waiting for this goddamn StreamYard to load. That's the answer. That's the double answer, if you will. He's in the graveyard. Yeah, I had to dig my way out 6 feet under the ground. I had to dig my dumb ass out of the ground to start this show here tonight. Haddonfield mascots in the house. What's going on? What's up? I heard he's changing it to a top 10 A24 dinner table scenes. Well, that would be quite the list. I mean, if you could do top 10 A24 trailers and all of them have to feature the like awful orchestral pluck of like this, like, you know what I mean? Like the that, oh my God, that is horrible. It's in like every A24 trailer. It always just grinds my gears. I sort of hate it. But welcome, Haddonfield mascot. I don't think that is going to happen unless hell is frozen over. Yeah, you never know. You never know. Hell could always freeze over. People saying hi to one another. LOL can't say I'd be too excited for that. Glad I could make it tonight. Glad to have you in the house. Thank you so much for the support lately. I appreciate it. I know you've been watching a ton of the videos from the past, and that's really awesome. That's what they're there for. So I'm very appreciative you're going into the Grande's Graveyard archives as we count down to episode number 300 in 2 weeks from tonight as we celebrate here at episode 298. He's rewatching all the Marcus Nispel movies and declaring them all masterpieces. Oh, of course I am. Of course I'm going to do that because we all know if anyone needs respect or praise, it's Marcus Nispel. Ciao, Grande. Great stream ahead. I'm sure you'll be judged. Hi to the whole graveyard. Well, Mateo, I am not ready to be judged, my friend. But I will say, you know, there was a couple of people that reached out. I think even when I see he's in the house or he was in the house, maybe granted, I know I started a little bit later. I know Tom was saying something like, oh, you know, I'm excited to learn about some new I'm like, this is kind of more of a show where I'm celebrating the genre. Like my initial plan was to be number 299. And then it was like going to be a celebration of horror tonight and then a celebration of Grande's Graveyard the following week. But AJ messed it all up for us because he's only available next week to do our 1985 top 5 episode. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be episode 299. And we're going to, of course, still do Grande's Graveyard 300 the following week. But I'm very excited tonight as we just celebrate horror together. I think this is going to be a fun evening where we can just talk about all the movies that we love to gush about. The Undead of Night, speaking of whom, hey, John and Chad, hoping to see some new too scared. Yeah, no, that I feel terrible. I am totally going to let you down there. I'm going to let you know right now. I guarantee you've seen all 10 of these movies that are on my, maybe 9, but yeah, no, most of them you have seen, I'm sure. This is more my celebration of the genre here tonight as we have James Van Duzen saying, good evening, everyone. What's going on, JV? Hope all is well. You're late. Yes, I am late. I was running a little bit late. I'm like Tobey Maguire trying to catch the bus in Spider-Man. Stop the bus! Hey, how you doing, buddy? Still doing my memoirs. I'm up to 2009. Anthony Chobot does pop cultures and openings. Welcome, man. Hope all is well with you. He only had 9. He needed 10 extra minutes. Yeah, absolutely, man. I lost my whole crowd doing this damn thing. I wasn't lying. He's making sure he has a top 10 A24 dinner scenes in place. Oh my gosh, no. Hell no. I don't even know if I could do a top 10 A24 horror movies. Like there's so many A24 horror movies that I just can't stand. But Ghostface Brett checks in. Greetings, Ghostface Brett. Hope all is well with you, my friend. And yeah, no, that's caught up with all the comments. So everybody, thank you so much for checking out the show tonight. Cheers to a safe, happy, healthy weekend. Oh man, only the good stuff on Grande's Graveyard. Just a little bit of old school agua. But like I was saying before we kick off the list, this is definitely a celebration of the genre for me, and a night where I count down the scenes that I not only love the most, but I think are a big reason as to why I am a fan of the horror genre. We'll see a lot of psychology here tonight. We'll see a lot of deep thinking, and we'll see, of course, the good old fashioned scares and things like that. So I'm very excited. I think this is a pretty, verse list. I think it's pretty diverse. I mean, I would be very curious to hear, of course, your guys' top tens as we go along. If you want to count along with me and give me your top tens, feel free. I don't know if anyone else has prepared a list, but if you want to prepare one, now is the time. And if you're catching the replay, of course, let me know your top 10 list as well. But everybody, I think it's time. I think it's time that we get underway in this son of a bitch. Slasher Fred or Alfred Hitchcock in his cameo by Northwest when he misses the bus. There you go. There you go. Hitchcock, Tobey Maguire, whoever you want to say. If there's a dinner scene in the trailer, usually a sign I won't like it. Let's get it. Let's get it, my friend. Let's get it. Spoiler alert, there is one dinner scene on this list. Just a spoiler alert. Oh, I ruined the whole thing. God damn it. Tune me out. Don't watch. Let's get underway, shall we? Let's get away with my favorite number of all of them, man. Number 10. Number 10 was always my sports number. It's my favorite number in the whole wide world. Number 10 on the top 10 list of my favorite all-time horror movie scenes. You look no further than this one here from the year of 1999, of course. The little movie that could, a little movie that made $250 million worldwide. Of course, I am talking to you guys about the Rustin Parr ending scene in the original Blair Witch Project. This is a movie where I always, like, from the first time I saw it, was a little bit skeptical. And I first saw it, I was like, oh man, I don't really see this great grand movie that everyone talks about. But the one thing that got me, even from the first time where I was sort of lukewarm on the movie, and over the years, of course, it has grown to be one of my favorites. And I think it's a great classic horror movie now. Like, it's one of those movies that it took me a little while to warm up to it. Now that I have, it's one of my all-time favorite horror movies. But the reason for that, to me, a big reason that bumps it up and the reason that it makes this list is the finale in the house, the Rustin Parr scene of the Blair Witch Project. Now, of course, the movie opens with, we have these students, they're making a documentary, and they're going around the towns of Burkittsville, Maryland, interviewing all of these people. And those actors, I thought, did such a genuinely great job at portraying just organic, everyday people. They don't look like actors, the people they're interviewing. And the woman with holding the kid, and the kid is kind of hitting her to, like, stop talking. That all feels, that's not a movie. That feels like some lady you would literally stop at the front of a grocery store. She just felt organic. But the best interview that they do is with this guy who tells the story of Rustin Parr, who, of course, would take kids to the house and kill one while he made the other stand in the corner. And we hear this urban legend in the very beginning, and we don't think much of it at the time, right? This is the opening 10 minutes of your horror movie. It's something that kind of goes in one ear, out the other, and you're kind of just like, okay, like, what did that have? What significance did that have? And the answer is everything by the time we get to the finale. Of course, Mike, Josh, and Heather. Josh goes missing, and Heather and Mike are looking through him throughout the woods until they stumble upon a house. And you even hear Mike, it's a fucking house. They go into the house, and the 3.5 minutes or so of horror that ensues is some of the greatest stuff I've ever seen in my life. It's truly, to this day, no matter how many times I watch this movie, it makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It gives me goosebumps. It makes me truly as uncomfortable can be. And it is just so well done as they're going through the house and, tell me where you are, Josh. Tell me where you are. I hear him downstairs. He's running down the steps in the shaky cam as we go from black and white to color picture on this camera from fucking Circuit City. He gets down to the basement, drops, and then Heather goes down, and what do we see? But, of course, one of them standing in the corner, the camera drops, and we fade to black. To me, one of the all-time great scenes in horror movie history, number 10 to be so specific, because I think it truly was a theme and scene that made the genre horrifying again, right? 1996 Scream comes out, and we parody the genre. We're tongue-in-cheek. We're winking with you because we know it's all a part of the show too. But this was a scene where it pulled back the curtain, and it was a situation where, holy shit, this stuff can still be mysterious, horrifying, and we could plant our seeds at the beginning 10 minutes, interviewing a guy outside of the grocery store, and pay it off right at the last reel of the film. I love that. And that's something that I will be honest with you to say has been a big inspiration in my writing life. I love to write short stories. And perfect example, the one that I did bring to life in the short of Down by the Bay I did, if you listen closely, that opening story that Terry tells, Henry, he's telling the story about, oh, don't look back, don't look back. If you think about it, that's sort of what the finale is. Don't look back, lady. And you know better at the campfire, but you didn't know when you were down by the bay with the woman in yellow. That's kind of my homage, my inspiration that I took from this movie. Plant your seed early, pay it off at the end. And the Blair Witch Project, to me, is a brilliant case of doing that. It never ceases. All the years later that I've watched it, over 25 years of this movie, that particular scene always stuck with me, and to me is a big reason why horror in 1999 bled over into the early 2000s and had this big impact that it did. One of the all-time greats for me. And now to the comments. Now let's see what y'all have to say here in the Ghouliganeering chat. Let's see. Slasher Fred's going to count down with us. What do you got, Fred? My top 10 horror movie scene. Number 10 is coming from the 1929 silent short movie Un Chien and Delo, where the woman's eye being slid and the blood coming out, which was the first time people saw that happen. Holy cow. That's wild. I've never seen that. Yuck. I hate the Blair Witch. Okay, not everyone's cup of tea of a movie, but one that has grown on me. Fuck yeah. My favorite movie ending scene of all time. So this would be number one on the best movie endings for Ghostface Brett. I'll never forget when my mom showed me this movie to my brother and I when we were young. Scared me shitless. Best found footage film ever. Yeah, no, I mean, it's got to be in the conversation, and it is definitely in the conversation for best horror movie endings. Blair Witch makes my ass clinch. Well, that's fair enough. Grande, what about Blair Witch? Oh, Jesus. Blair Witch 2016, where they completely forget how and what made this movie memorable and special. And instead, they just had a giant fucking rotisserie Blair Witch running around. Oh, God, that is just a travesty of a movie, the 2016 Blair Witch, where we show, instead of making you feel, instead of telling the aura and lore of the Blair Witch herself and Rustin Parr as he made the boys stand in the corner as he killed one. I mean, that's just great horror storytelling to me. It is an iconic scene, but not a fan of the movie. I can't see me warming to it like you did. You know, that's, and hey, even though you're not a big fan of the movie, you can even say that's an iconic scene. And I even said it the first time I saw the movie. I remember being like, you know, I don't see I was like, at first I was like, I don't really see the hype. I don't get it. What is so great about this? And maybe that's from where, you know, I saw the movie, right? I saw the movie for the first time on DVD in like 2009, 2010. So this is 10 plus years after the hype of it. This is 10 plus years after the websites and the marketing and the way they use the internet to their advantage to make people think, some people thought, not everyone, that this might have been real, and that the Beware the Blair Witch and the documentaries of people acting like they knew Mike, Heather, and Josh. Like the whole thing, it was all really brilliant. And I feel like maybe if I saw it at that time, I would have just bought into all of it, hook, line, and sinker. It took me a while because of my age and what time I saw it, right? I saw this just in my house by myself. So it took me a little while to warm up. But I think even from the first time I saw it, that ending was creepy. That, holy shit, that was good. I remember being like, that got me. But of course, as time has gone on, I really have warmed up. Where's old Mary Brown these days? Wild looking. Well, then she told me that she was a fucking scientist. I love that whole spiel from Heather Donahue is hysterical. It never gets old. Scratch Bruno, welcome to the house, man. The Undead of Night says, good choice. Forgot about that ending. Yeah, no, to me, it's like a must. I totally think when I think of like horrifying finales that stick with you forever and truly make me feel something every time I watch it physically, it would have to make my list. The Blair Witch Project made $200 million plus at the box office in 1999. Dude, it is wild. They were just short of $250 million. Like, it's insane. And this is a movie where you're talking about people that rented the cameras from a Circuit City and returned them. They didn't even own the cameras. There were days where they wouldn't even give them a script. They gave them sticky notes and said, go ahead, film this, argue about this today. And the rest is history, man. And I know there are some people that are never going to like this movie. It's very polarizing. It is probably one of, if not horror's most polarizing, is the Blair Witch Project. And it's totally understandable. I get it. Because I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been on the disappointment side, and I've been on the side where, holy shit, this actually is a great movie. I see it now. Like, I totally can see it. I can see clearly now the witch is gone. Hell yeah, it's incredible. Such a great fucking scene. I saw that when I was 10, shortly after it came out. One of my first legit sleepless nights. See, if that's not horror done right, I don't know what is. I mean, literally kept Haddonfield mascot up at night. That's when you know you're doing your job. I made the mistake and watched Blair Witch a few days before a backpacking trip. Holy shit, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. Now, I've never gone camping, but holy cow, this to me would be the scariest movie to watch pre-camping trip. I mean, I don't know if you could top that. Scratch Berto says Salvador Dali co-wrote Unchi. Did he really? Are you fucking serious? I didn't know. That is crazy. Alpha's in the house. Everyone thought it was real when it came out. It's so well made that you couldn't see through it. Nobody had ever seen anything like it before. Yeah, no, I'm jealous. Like, you got to keep in mind, I was 2 when the Blair Witch Project came out, so I never got to be a part of the hype when it was coming out. But like, to see what the phenomenon that it was just so cool to me. And the fact that I think a lot of other movies jumped on the back of this in terms of how they marketed their films moving forward. Like, the whole internet campaign was just brilliant. And like, I think a lot of people, rightfully so, took pages out of this book because it was so simple. And I don't know if there's ever been a movie that's been more spoofed. The Bogus Wench Project, the fucking the Bear Wench, they did porn spoofs. They did Scary Movie. Every fucking movie and their mother was trying to spoof this because it was the easiest thing to spoof. Get a couple friends, go out into the woods and start shooting. It was apples and bananas. It's my generation's TCM. Brilliant, but definitely polarizing. The best horror flicks usually are. Well, that is a good point as well. Captain Skittles is in the house. How's it going? Captain, my captain. Number 10, The Blair Witch Project, Rustin Parr ending scene. To me, truly horror done right and terrifying all at the same time. So that one comes in at the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9, of course, I would say this is the movie that made me a horror fan. Like, I love the series. I love everything about these movies. And to me, though, the thing about this particular scene in particular, I think is so much deeper than people give it credit for. And I think it's also a situation where the performance from the actress truly made me realize how important horror psychology was as a young child. And that is none other than from the movie from 1980, of course, directed by Sean S. Cunningham. I'm talking about the Mrs. Voorhees reveal scene in the original Friday the 13th. Yes, I know probably a lot of people, if you're going to go with this movie, why would you not pick Kevin Bacon under the bed? Why would you not pick Jason jumping out of the water? Those are all fine scenes in a film filled with fine scenes. But to me, the reveal with Betsy Palmer at the end always made this a situation for me where I was like, that's brilliant. That's why I love the genre the way I love it. And of course, it's a simple scene. Of course, our final girl, if you will, Annie, she is panicked and all this stuff because one of her friends has been thrown through the window, covered up in plastic and gore and rope and all these things. And of course, who would pull up but a smiling face in Betsy Palmer, an old familiar face from Hollywood Squares, an old friend of the Christies. As Mrs. Voorhees rolls up and, hey, dear, it's okay. I'm not afraid. Takes her inside. Oh, my God, so young, so pretty. What monster could have done this? They never should have opened this place again. Did you know that a young boy drowned? A few years before those 2 others were killed, they were making love while the young boy drowned. I was working the day that it happened. His name was Jason. I mean, that whole spiel to me is one of the best scenes ever to me. I just absolutely love that scene. It's so fucking well acted and directed as she goes from, okay, she's feeling sympathetic. Now we're feeling a little bit sympathetic for her. And then now, holy shit, she's a fucking psychopath that is here to pick off our final girl. Holy cow. I mean, it goes from literally 0 to 360 in a matter of seconds, a matter of this woman telling you that she lost her own son because these camp counselors weren't paying attention to doing their jobs. Instead, they were doing each other. And it's a situation where that's why she was doing what she was doing. And it's the whole, of course, I know Victor Miller said it was, oh, hey, that was my ripoff of the Psycho thing, right? It was Norman Bates was acting like the mother. How about the mother protecting her deceased child that drowned in Camp Crystal Lake? Again, yeah, did he borrow a page? Absolutely. But I thought in a very smart way, you took a page out of that book and you applied it to something that to me goes even deeper than anything in Psycho. For me, the whole idea of a mother protecting her child, a mother protecting the memory of her kid to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone else's kid. And was it right what she was doing? Absolutely not. Does one bad apple spoil the bunch? Absolutely not. But it's a situation where Mrs. Voorhees did it because she didn't want it to happen to anybody else. And look what you did to him. Look what you did to him. As she pulls out the knife, and then all hell breaks loose as we get this fun finale of stalk and slash between, Final Girl and, of course, final heel villain, Mama Voorhees. I think it is absolutely one of the biggest things that made me a fan of the genre, because it's a little bit deeper than, there are so many great unveils in the history of horror movies, right? Well, who is the killer? Blood and Black Lace is a prime example. I love the unveil in that movie. I remember being so shocked. To Scream, I love it's a Scream, baby. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative. This stuff is great. There's been some great unveils. The ending of Saw, when Jigsaw stands up, he was in the room the whole time, lying on the floor. It's great stuff. But here you have not only an unveil where you could never really have predicted it because she's never really shown, right, aside from driving scenes and maybe her hand here and there. It's a situation where the unveil is someone that has this tragic background and is coming from a place of, sadness, a place of loss, a place of grief. And then, of course, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because you're not. And then, of course, she hears Jason in her head, kill her, mommy, kill her. Great stuff. To me, absolutely great stuff. Betsy Palmer, I know she did it for a car or a pair of boots or something. I know that she didn't really like the script. She thought it was shit. And, she was honest about that in interviews all the way up until her dying day. May she rest in peace. I don't think you can top that, man. I really think that's one of the best horror unveils of all time, man, because the psychology behind it and the performance from Betsy, I thought was just absolutely phenomenal. Really, really great stuff. But back to comments. Let's see what y'all have to say. My top 9 scene is from the original Fog, with the reveal of the ghost face scene when Stevie Wayne here, long live Adrienne Barbeau, is being attacked by the lighthouse. Awesome scene. Gotta love the Fog. Not Annie, Alice. Oh, sorry. Okay. What the fuck? Adrienne King is her real name. Too many A's. Annie, Alice, Adrienne. A. Nice one, Fred. My fave from the Fog would be meeting the ghost ship in the middle of the ocean. I know Tom is a huge fan of the Fog. The Fog is a classic. Even though I never had a child, let alone lose one to a senseless accident, I could feel exactly. I think that's the whole beautiful thing of finding the gray area. Like, this wasn't just this clear-cut heel. This was a human being that lost her pride and joy, and that's decided, fuck you, you're not reopening this fucking camp. It's got a death curse. It's Camp Blood. My son, who was deformed and bullied and teased and picked on, I will avenge him. I will not let that happen to anyone else. Not on my watch. I love that psychology, because there is a part of you, especially, I would assume, especially if you are a mother and or parent, that your heart, a part of it would go out to her. Even though I know morally she's not doing the right thing, I think on paper you see that gray area. And I think that's so interesting. What's scarier is seeing Tasso, Stavrakis, and Harry Knuckles standing in for Mama Voorhees when she gets her. Yeah, that is amazing stuff. Great stuff. That's a great, and Tasso's a cool guy. Welcome, Matt Landrum. She even said she doubted that this would get popular. Yeah, no, she just did it for money. It's so funny. You did something for money, acted for how many days? I don't think she was on set very long. Yet she is the thing I remember from this movie the most. Like, to me, it's the most iconic thing in this movie is the Betsy Palmer scene. Like, I always get excited when Betsy comes on this. It's like, now, like, just take me away. Like, I'm in this world. I'm in Camp Crystal Lake. I'm in Camp Blood for the night. And I just love that. I think it's just a fantastic scene. Great piece of action for Betsy Palmer. Another iconic scene. My favorite killer reveal is the deep red. Oh my God, with the flash. Dude, and that's phenomenal. And Dario would do that a couple of times, right? I mean, The Bird with Crystal Plumage is another example where he did that. And that always thought I was so shocking. I remember being like, holy cow, like the husband did it for the wife because she was like a past sexual trauma victim. And she, in turn, when she saw someone being assaulted, she identified with the killer. And that's why she's doing the things that she's doing. And her husband's trying to cover. I thought that was great, too. And of course, yes, with this and the mother and son aspect of it, I mean, just great. Deep Red is a great killer reveal. That's a great pick. And honestly, I am sad to say this, and Mateo may just end our friendship right here. My Dario Argento scene was number 11, and I was heartbroken. I couldn't get it on this list. And I am sure I'm going to piss somebody off when you see other things that are on this list that beat out. And it was going to be the opening scene in Suspiria. That was the scene I had initially on the list, but it fell down to number 11 when I sat down. So please don't unfriend me or unfollow. And if you do, it's been a fun ride. Haddonfield Mascot, part 1 is so good. The entire last act is awesome. Great take. I haven't thought about it in that light. Yeah, no, I think that's the whole beauty and what separates part 1 from any of the other ones. Aside from maybe part 5, I think part 5 has a good psychology to it as well. But to me, it's just that whole finale. And I remember even as a child being like, that's great. Like, that's really, really, I like that whole twist and unveil. I think it's really good. I'll be surprised, John, if the chauffeur from Burnt Offerings doesn't show up on your list. My friend, prepare to be surprised. Prepare to be surprised as we move on to number 8. I'm so sorry. I swear to you, the opening scene of Suspiria made my top 10 list at the start of this. When I first sat down, I wrote this all out. I was like, okay. Then I started thinking it went from number 6 to 7 to 8, and it got all the way down to number 11. So I was heartbroken to leave that off the list. Please, that is The Bubble Boy. I love Dario. He's probably my favorite filmmaker of all time. But yes, no Dario tonight on the list. And I promise you, when I get to certain picks, people are going to be like, you are a fucking idiot for taking Dario off. You bumped Dario off for this shit. But one that I don't think I'm going to get much grief for bumping Dario Argento off is my number 8 pick, which to me is the best particular scene in the career of one of horror's greatest filmmakers, and that's John Carpenter. John Carpenter's made so many great movies. I always point to Prince of Darkness perhaps being my favorite. I love They Live. Everyone will point to the original Halloween. Of course, that's a great movie. And of course, Assault on Precinct 13, one of my favorite movies. I love that movie as well. Arguably a perfect film for me is Assault on Precinct 13. But the most infamous, the one that a lot of people will say is his best, if they're not picking Halloween, they're most likely picking this next movie from the year 1982. Of course, I'm talking about John Carpenter's The Thing, and the scene in question is the blood testing scene. Yes, the blood testing scene, of course. I think a must to have on a top 10 horror movie list of all time. And to go through the career of John Carpenter and just pick one scene is truly next to impossible. But I did it. I sat down. I was like, what is the greatest John Carpenter scene? And I don't look any further than this. I mean, it's just such a fantastically filmed scene, as, of course, we have Kurt Russell, who plays McCready, and all of these other people that are up in the winter solitude, tied to these couches and chairs and things like that. And Kurt Russell has the whole spiel of, I need to test your blood, because when a man's blood bleeds, it'll do nothing. But when you things bleed, it won't obey. It will rebel. It'll crawl away and try to survive. So that's what we have to do. And to me, it's a great scene for numerous amount of reasons. And I think, to me, the whole situation it's just so well-rounded when I'm talking about themes of horror movies. There's tension, first and foremost. That's the best thing about the scene, is the tension that you feel in the picture on that scene. It's just so, holy cow, like, whose blood is going to react and who's going to turn to the thing? Is someone innocent? Are we all the thing? Like, what is going on? That whole tension, to me, to get your blood, pumping and your heart racing, and you're like, oh my God, like what the hell? Like, that whole reaction to me is like everything you go to see a horror movie for. So right off the bat, that's worth the admission alone. But then again, I think also there's so much more to it, right? Like, there's the actors' performances where they're all kind of just sideways, like, is it you? Is it you? Like, I love that. I think that stuff is great. And it has all this humor in it, too. Like, you do have the one guy after they test his blood. Oh, if it wouldn't make a difference to you fellas, I wouldn't like to spend the rest of this fucking winter tied to this fucking couch. Like, that is classic shit. And of course, once one of the people's blood that they test, is the thing, and it does react. They can't torch it. They're having a hard time lighting Windows, fucking fry them, Windows. And Kurt Russell can't get the fucking thing going, and the guy starts breaking out and turning into this fucking thing. The makeup effects from Rob Bottin. Again, another thing in a well-rounded scene. We got tension. We've got great acting. We have a little bit of humor. We have amazing practical makeup effects that have to be studied to this day. What Rob Bottin did in this movie will forever be, to me, next to Day of the Dead and Savini, the greatest special makeup effects in a single movie that is, of course, not computer generated like all this shit is today. Fucking incredible. Like the whole guy's head coming out and splitting and then biting Windows, and Windows is screaming and being torn around like a rag doll, and then gets the flamethrower going as the thing runs out into the snow and just collapses to its knees. Like, holy shit, man. The first time I saw that, I remember having next to a panic attack. I was like, holy shit. Like, I mean, you just don't see that anymore. It's just truly John Carpenter at his finest. He did such a great job with this movie because it's so well-rounded and it's so well acted by everybody involved, and Captain Kurt Russell leading the way. I mean, come on. I think this has to be on a top 10 horror movie scenes list. It's just iconic, like, to me. And it's a movie filled with great stuff. I'm not saying the movie's probably in consideration for top 10 horror movie ever. Probably some people would have it at number 1, and understandably so. I mean, just great stuff. To me, it had to make this list. So the blood testing scene from The Thing, I thought that was a no-brainer. I just thought that had to be on here. Let's see where we were. I think we were here. My number 8 is from the original The Fly, with Vincent Price, The Return of the Fly. No, but you're talking about the original. From 1958 with The Fly, with the mad scientist head in the spider web. Help me, help me. Dude, great pick. George Bennings' howl before being set on fire is a great scene too. Oh my God, dude. It's Bennings. Great stuff. It is yours, top 10, and that is one of the great things too. For me, the scene with the girl hanging from the ceiling is that was the number. That's my number 11. The unofficial number 11 is that scene. I'm so fucking sorry. I swear on my mother, it was number 6 when I started to. I had it written down in pencil, but that's why they made erasers. And I moved, and I was like, holy shit, the maestro's not on this list. This is terrible. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I just feel terrible about it. Yeah, great pick. What frightening scene, great tension building, and a huge payoff. Yeah, it's fantastic. Never understood all the hype around John Carpenter, really. But if I had to pick a scene, it would be the blood test scene. Okay, fair enough. Who do you think is the thing at the end, McCready or Childs? I don't think McCready at all. And I'll be honest with you, when I first saw the movie, I never suspected Childs either. And the whole, where were you, Childs? And I thought I saw Blair. And then, of course, maybe we shouldn't make it. Maybe we just find out a while when you hear. I like to just think and this is a fucked up thing to say, but I like to just think they just both froze. Like, that was it. Like, that, it doesn't have to be said. And like, to me, like, if you're asking that question, I'm sure you have your opinion, and feel free to share it. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts on that. Was it McCready? Was it Childs? Was it neither? Was it? I don't know. It's up to you. And I know John Carpenter has always said that. It's entirely up to you to think that. And I know that he did a screening for this movie where someone said, oh, I hate that. And he was like, but I'm leaving it up to your imagination. Like, you pick. What, were one of them infected? Were they both okay? Are they both going to freeze there? Or is someone going to come pick their asses up and the thing is going to infect the world? Who knows? It's up for you. It's up for you to decide. And that's the beauty of it. I don't know if I would have that, in a situation where I would go all these theories, because I don't know. I just play that beautiful music, man. Ennio Morricone, play that music, man. Play it out, because you can't. I mean, there are a few movies better than John Carpenter's The Thing. Yeah, hard to beat the tension and suspense of that scene. We didn't even know if McCready was a thing. So good. Yes, exactly. And now it's time to prove what I already know. I love that. I love his fucking, just arrogance. The Thing deserves top 10. I love also the scene with the defibrillator and the head becoming a spider is iconic. Oh my God. Yeah, this movie, you can have a top 10 scenes in this one movie. Like, you really could. I'm happy to see John Carpenter make the list. The Thing never loses its magic. Great pick for that movie. No idea what my favorite scene is. Exactly. That's really hard to do. My top 8 is Angela's reveal in Sleepaway Camp. We might have a Sleepaway Camp movie on the list. We will get there, my friend. But that's like, of 1980s horror movie endings, that's got to be the most famous one. I mean, that everybody that sees that, you react. Like, it's just a fucking crazy scene. That's not the scene I have on here. But certainly worthy. I think so. Supposedly you can't see Child's breath at the end, but you can see McCready's. I think Carpenter has said that one of them is the thing, but he hasn't said. Okay, I've never heard that. I always heard that he was like, it's up to you. So I never heard that he confirmed that one of them is infected. So I've never heard that. So, okay, if that is the case, I think Child's for sure. Because we're with McCready throughout the entire finale. We never see McCready get infected. So I would say the answer is Child's for me, if one of them has to be the thing. But in my world, if it's up to me, goddammit, they're both okay, and they're either going to freeze or the cavalry will arrive. Fucking Harrison Ford will run up there with a fucking tauntaun and throw its guts on Kurt Russell and fucking Keith David until the cavalry arrives. I repeat, I found them. Send a snow speeder to send their fucking asses home. But that is number 8 as we move on into number 7. And somebody just fucking mentioned Sleepaway Camp, which I find it actually fucking shocking that the next movie on this list is a Sleepaway Camp movie. I don't know how you knew this, or well, maybe you didn't, but this is gonna get me heat. This is the part of the show where I piss everybody and day mama off. This is this part of the show where someone goes, "You fucking bumped off Dario Argento's Suspiria opening scene with the woman hanging for this." I know it. I know it's going to happen, and I'm sorry in advance. I precurse and say, I'm so sorry. But the scene, of course, is from my all-time favorite slasher movie, and it's right there, Sleepaway Camp Part 3. I've got the Sleepaway Camp out-of-print fucking Shout Factory edition, and is none other than, of course, Angela revisiting Camp Rolling Hills. And, of course, I have the Sleepaway Camp trading cards of these. And this is the scene still from the movie, of course. Really cool. Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 trading cards. Really cool. And this is my favorite scene in all of the movies. And to me, one of the great all-time scenes in horror movie history. And I know that this would not be on anyone other than me's lists, but that's, again, what makes it mine, I guess, like Mateo was saying. So hear me out. Or you could just dislike my video and tell me to go fuck myself. Whatever you want to do on this fine Thursday night. To me, the acting and this entire, again, psychology, going back to psychology, I think is just off the charts here. As, of course, we have our lead antagonist who has just committed some murders, and she's going to take out the trash. And where does she go? She goes back to her old stomping grounds from the second film, Camp Rolling Hills. And she, of course, opens the door ever so slightly, walks in, and starts to reminisce. And we see flashbacks of simpler times. We see flashbacks of when she had the blue ribbon for being the best counselor of the week. And it's very melodramatic as the flashback scenes are slowed down. They're colored blue. And even she going, "You like me? You really like me?" I mean, it goes literally ham, egg, and cheese out the fucking asshole. And I love every bit of it. But it's the performance in modern day, at modern time, that's going back and forth between the flashbacks of Pamela Springsteen looking on in just absolute sadness and despair. And I love that scene for that performance because she's walking through looking at it, and you can see her telling a story just through her facial expressions, just through her eyes of the sadness that she feels revisiting a place that once made her happy, a place where she was once number one and singing songs on the old guitar with everybody waving the fucking hands up and around. To me, that is an all-time great performance from Pamela Springsteen because it's just everything that I think she wanted in life, right? Here's somebody that, of course, suffered all the bullying, all the trauma, all the stress, all the background, all the doctors and pills and electroshock treatments. Here's a woman that went through it all and, of course, was given a second chance of life. And her goal, her reason and motive is she wants everybody to be just as moral as she is. She just wants goodness and happiness and all to be right in the world. You can't cuss. You can't have, you can't say profanity. You can't have sex out of wedlock. You have to follow the goddamn rules, right? And if you don't follow the rules in Angela's book, Angela will drop you on your head at the top of a flagpole. She'll run your head over with a lawnmower, or she'll chop your goddamn head right off your shoulders if she damn well pleases. And she does. The idea of this character that wants everyone to be as moral as her and the whole pinnacle of her life being crowned, I am the counselor of the week. This is everything I've ever hoped for and dreamed for. This is my redemption arc, and I'm so happy to be here. For her to revisit that and have to remember those times of a life that she oh so wanted to live for the rest of eternity, I think is very, very deep. And it's a very big sign of, yeah, we all want that life. There might be that one life, that one thing that we love more than anything that we want and hope and dream for. And when it's taken away, oh boy, can that be so horrific. And to me, that's why I think it's a great horror scene. It's about the drama and sadness that this woman faces as she revisits the old haunting grounds where she was once a happy person, a happy camper, if you will. I don't know. I think it's great. I know that nobody probably going to think that deep about something like this. It's a popcorn movie. It's Grande. It's 79 minutes before credits. Grande. It looks like a VHS. Grande. It's so campy and horrible, and the acting and the music. And I know people don't like these movies, but for me, I mean, I just don't look any further than, to me, great slasher movie with great performance from the lead killer in Pamela Springsteen, and the song and the whole psychology of that character visiting what she once loved, I thought was so great. I really do. I think that's a great, great horror scene that is personal to me. Like, I can vibe with a part of her in that scene. We've all been there. We want something else. We wanted that life, but we do this one. I don't know. I think it's great. I really do. But I know I'm probably alone in that. I'm probably going to get my fucking head chewed off, but we will see. But maybe McCready was infected before the blood test and kept it from every... Interesting. Oh, boy. All right. Tom is throwing the curveball. I don't think McCready is infected, for the fucking record here. Even though this is a family favorite classic, but this is my top 7. Well, again, though, it's your family favorite. It makes it sentimental to you. Anything with the family. Top 7 scary scene is from the original Snow White when Grimhild drinks her potion and you see her change into the elderly woman. Interesting. A little Disney movie getting there. That's what Sally Field said when she got it. You like me. You really like me. When you watch that scene, you're like, oh my God. But then you go to the modern day where she's just like, I want to just jump off a cliff right now. Like what am I doing? I just love that. I think it's really, really undersung. It's probably only a surprise to you, Grande. I think everyone knows Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 was bound to make your favorite scene. Oh, I don't think so. I don't think anybody on the company that we have on this list, this is going to stick out like a sore thumb for a lot of people. But again, it's what makes it personal. So that's the thing. Suspiria exactly. I love all 3 Sleepaway Camp movies. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, exactly. If we're talking objectively, sure, the Maestro could have got this spot, or maybe the next one. But from a personal standpoint of scenes that touch me and make me feel something and see something, I couldn't leave this off the list. I really could. It's like one of my favorite scenes ever. I just love it. I think it's really, really great. And it's, to me, worth the price of admission alone to watch it, because it's not just a dumb popcorn movie. It does have something to say in my eyes. So it is I appreciate the choice. In mine, I would replace it with the final scene, House with the Laughing Windows. Well, hey, I love that movie. And it's very cool that it's going to get a 4K release from Arrow. So thank you to the masses. It's so funny. Mateo and I were doing the Quentin Tarantino show the day that got announced. I was like, dude, this is fate. Like, it's our night to hang out and talk about QT. And then Mateo, like one of his favorite Giallos, gets announced on 4K. That is just the coolest. Sticking with the thing for a minute, have you read the Dark Horse comics that picked up right from the end of the movie? I have not. If you would like to enlighten us on what happens, I would love to hear that. I'm curious. Is McCready the thing in the Dark Horse comics that pick up right at the end of the movie? I am very curious to hear so, and let me know. But of course, in the meantime, before Tom lets us know, I'm going to take a sip of agua, and we're going to get on with the next pick on the list. Yes, of course, coming in. This is the one I couldn't find. I didn't have the DVD for this one, so sorry. But this is the number 6 slot here. A movie. Another one that I don't know if anyone else would have this. This is 7 and 6 were the 2 most controversial ones. Everything else, I think people are going to be like, yes. Coming in number 6, though, had the ending scene, and of course the 2002 movie directed by Lucky McKee, starring the legendary Angela Bettis, the ending scene of May. I mean, to me, arguably horror's greatest ending. I love the ending of May. I still to this day think about that ending. Like every time I see it, and I can remember the first time I see it, how shocked that I was, how fucking floored that I was. Where, of course, if you haven't seen May, of course, tells the story of Angela Bettis, who was born with a lazy eye. And her whole life, she's ostracized and made fun of, and she never finds companionship. She never finds love. She never even finds friendship, really. She's just truly alone. So her parents one day make her this doll that she can be friends with, but it has to stay in this glass case. Of course, you finally get the doll that's made for you, and you can't even open the damn thing. One day, of course, it's years and years down the road. May finally gets her lazy eye fixed, and she starts to, date this one guy. She even sees Anna Faris behind closed doors. Jeremy Sisto is the guy she's dating. She starts to mingle, and she at first is loving it. At first is feeling normal, and oh my God, this is what it's all about. Until she realizes that people have a shitty side sometimes. Until she realizes that, this guy might have just wanted some things from me. This woman might have just wanted some things from me. And of course, she realizes that in the inhumane part of humanity, that there are dark sides of people, there are cruel sides of people that, of course, she does not approve of. And of course, there are no such thing as perfect people, but there are perfect parts. And May decides on Halloween night, let me make my own perfect person through perfect parts. And May goes around the town and she takes all these parts from people in her own way, making her own Frankenstein's monster, if you will, that she can be friends with in a way, similar to the doll that was brought home to her at the beginning of the film. She has the legs of a prostitute. She has the neck of this one woman. She has the hands of Adam, her former boyfriend. And as she puts all these things together, she looks at herself in the mirror and she sees the lazy eye and decides, I'm taking this out. This has been the cause of all the problems in my life, all the stress, all the trauma, all the drama, everything that I have had in my life that has not gone my way, that needs to go. And she stabs her own eye out, places it on the body, and just kind of lays with it and starts shouting, see me, see me, see me. And we get, in an otherwise non-supernatural horror movie, a supernatural horror movie moment for the ages as Adam's hand comes over, brushes her hair, and we fade to credits. I mean, the first time I saw that, I about shit my pants. I never saw it coming. I thought, okay, it's just going to fade to black as she's crying in the arms of this thing. But to add a supernatural moment to it in a movie where otherwise nothing supernatural was going on. This is a horror movie about humans and humanity and the whole idea of how shitty people can be when the chips are down and how, horrible one's life can be only to get that glimmer of happiness and hope. And then it's all taken away. For her to just want to be seen, see me for who I am. I'm a good person. I see you. Like, that's kind of to say that. And like, the song they choose at the end, it's like a Jesus song. Holy shit. I mean, I fucking jumped. I remember I first watched this down here. I was watching it late night. The best time to watch horror movies is like 1, 2 in the morning. Turn it on, give it your undivided attention. Don't look at your phone. There's more important things on the screen than your phone. Watch the movie. Let it take you over. And man, when that happened, I jolted off the couch. I was like, that hand just moved? What? Like, this is shit you see in nightmares. This is shit you see in a top 10 horror movie scenes of all time list. And to me, I look no further than the see me scene in the ending of May and Angela Bettis, man. Horror done perfect. I love this scene. To me, again, personally, I don't know if this make anybody else's top 10, but it had to be on there. It had to be on there. It's so much to say, and it was so well done and directed, in my humble opinion. Let's see what the chat has to say. Number 6 for Slasher Fred. From Silence of the Lambs, when Clarice is first in the slammer and you see her walking down the hallways and these prisoners in the cells, of course. And then, of course, Sir Anthony Hopkins waiting for her. So great. You're like a rube. I mean, I absolutely love Silence of the Lambs. That's another one. Goodbye, horses. Is she a great big fat person? I mean, Silence of the Lambs is another one you could do a top 10, list of favorite scenes from. Yeah, probably a scene from Silence of the Lambs could be in my top 10. I wholeheartedly, and there's so many good ones. A lot of people remember the Chianti and the Farber beans, and of course the scene where he has the mask and they roll him up and put that monster back where he came from. I love that's great. Childs leaves McCready alone to die, but Matt gets rescued to go back to burn up the bodies and the frozen things at the camp. Childs shows up later in a later issue, neither one being a thing. Okay, so neither one of them were a thing in this guy. Very interesting. It sounds like I've got to read it now. We got D to the A. Yo, what up, JG? D to the A. Donovan Alba in the house. Damn, May was another ending that slipped my mind. Might have to watch it again this weekend. Yeah, no, I highly recommend. I just May is a movie that to me they just don't make movies like that anymore. It's truly a unique movie, and I just love it. It has the weird, dark humor in it. I don't know. I love it. I think it's a really, really important horror film. I haven't seen that movie. I'll have to check it out. Well, sorry for spoiling the fucking ending. I really am sorry. Haddonfield Mascot. It's been like 20 years since I've seen May. Need to rewatch it. Yeah, that would have been right around the time it came out. And I had the DVD. I don't know where. I could not find it. That's why I started late tonight. I was looking for the DVD of May, and I don't know where. But I will find it when the stream is over. It'll fucking fall into my lap from the fucking ceiling or something. But that is May. That comes in at the number 6. And we're moving right along, ladies and gents. We're moving right along into the top 5 now. We are at number 5 of the top 10 horror movie scenes of all time. And you look no further than my goddamn shirt. You look no further than my second favorite movie of all time. You got my favorite 2 movies right here. Number 1, number 2. Those are my top 2 favorite movies. Then Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange actually might be my second favorite movie. And then Texas Chainsaw. But Texas Chainsaw is my second favorite horror movie of all time. So correction there. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Of course, I'm referring to the dinner scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. I mean, to me, no matter how personal your list is, no matter where you're getting, I don't care. This is the absolute must on this list. If this isn't on your list, I think you're fucking crazy. Like I really like, and this is coming from a guy that put Sleepaway Camp 3 on his list. So if I think you're fucking crazy, you got to go get some psychotherapy, my friend. But all kidding aside, the dinner scene in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a fucking just absolute trip. You hear the stories of how the making of was and how hot it was in that room. Like it was a dungeon, like it was fucking 110, 120 degrees sometimes in that fucking dinner scene. And Marilyn Burns screaming her fucking lungs out for hours upon hours upon hours of endless days of filming. The beautiful Daniel Pearl cinematography shots of her beautiful dark green eyes as she's screaming in terror. And the characters around the table, Ed Neal, Jim Seedow, Gunnar Hansen, just having a blast. Woo! Banging on the table, screaming, "You're just the cook." "Shut up. You're just a cook. I just take no pleasure in killing. You used to say that Grandpa was the best. Grandpa was the best. He killed 60 in 5 minutes once. Would have killed more if that had the bees out of the way faster." That scene in this movie is a time capsule. It's a time capsule in time of when cinema was perfected. There's only an X amount of perfect movies out there. You're looking at one of them. You really are. You look no further than this fucking movie. And that particular scene especially has everything that you would ever want in a horror scene. It's been ripped off about 1,000,000 fucking times. Look at Wrong Turn 2. Look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. Do you fuck all your cousins or just the ones you find attractive? How many times has this dinner scene been ripped off in popular culture, in fucking horror cinema? It's so influential. It's like everybody was like, holy shit, man, we got to have our dinner scene. And like, no shit. I mean, I would try to rip this off too in a heartbeat because it's so goddamn well done. It is perfection. You feel the uncomfortability in that room. You feel the sweat. You feel the disgust and despair of Marilyn Burns as she's screaming her fucking heart out, and the whole, we got to let Grandpa have this one. It's just great, man. And Gunnar Hansen with the makeup and the Leatherface, and me and Leatherface do all the work around here. I don't know. To me, it like goes without saying. And I almost feel like, what more can I say that hasn't been said, really? I mean, it's you're beating a dead horse, and I'm sorry if I am, but I don't really know if they're, and this is number 5. I mean, it's crazy. Like, to me, this could easily be number 1, easily. I'll never forget, and I've seen this movie twice in the theater. Saw it on 35 millimeter once. It was amazing. Saw it a few months back, less than a year ago, for the 50th anniversary. And it had a lot of people in attendance. It had the cinematographer, Daniel Pearl was there, Terry McMinn, of course, the red shorts girl walking to the door, that great shot. Ed Neal was there. Grandpa was there unannounced. John Dugan was drunk and came out of the crowd and was like, "Wait a minute, I want to be on this panel." It's like, fucking Grandpa, what the fuck? that night, seeing it in a packed theater in the fucking city and like just enjoying one of the all-time great movies, and this scene in particular, just always the same thing with the Blair Witch Project ending, where it just gives you those chills, goosebumps, and physical feeling. It's just has to be on this list. It does. And I listen, Chasew's another one. Did the whole finale and the go, Leatherface doing his dance, the whole the door slamming, the fucking lady being hung up, Terry McMahon being hung on the hook. There's so many great scenes, but to me, the dinner scene is a scene that truly transcended horror from the 1970s, the mid 1970s, and that bled us over into the 1980s. I think it's that important of a scene. It's so transitional to me and important and impactful. So to me, the dinner scene for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think this has to be on your list. I really, really do. I don't care what other 9 movies you got. If this ain't on there, your list is just not, to me. That's just me. But that's, again, is what it is. Let's go to comments. Let's see where we were. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed Mateos. The one where Hannibal puts the other man's face with the blood in the elevator. Oh, my God. Blood in an elevator. Cue the Aerosmith. Here's another Disney classic, underrated. My top 5 is The Brave Little Toaster. Yeah, no, you've mentioned that. I know you like The Brave Little Toaster. It's having a dream flashback of his time with the master, and you have the clown saying run. Okay, I'll have to see The Brave Little Toaster. That's dinner scene. TCM is definitely top 10. Yeah, I'm sorry. It has to be. It has to be. It really, of all of these scenes, this has to be in there. I'm sorry. Like, that's a must. I love TCM. For me, best horror movie of all time. I mean, I can't argue that. It's number 2. It's only behind this movie. And some would say this movie is even more, it has so much more than being a horror movie. So I would switch the scene with the end. Okay, Leatherface swinging the chainsaw in the air, doing the dance. Yes, that's totally understandable. Like, I'm with that. Again, just a perfect movie with so many great scenes. So I'm totally with you. Come on, Franklin. It's going to be a fun trip. It's amazing. Grandpa with his finger, the craziest scene in the movie. Oh, no, don't get Alpha. I don't know if Alpha's still here, but don't get Alpha started on that scene. Well, it's the adrenochrome. I know if Landrum's still here, Landrum know what I'm talking about. That whole adrenochrome spiel, the adrenochrome promo. It's amazing. Grandpa on the finger. Oh, it's so gross. It's amazing. It's so great. Give me the hammer. It's just great. You feel everything in that scene. Really, truly, Toby's masterpiece, and a movie that had that scene that had to make my top 10. Top 4 now. Top 4. It's getting interesting. We're getting down to the nitty and the gritty, if you will. Of course, with our next pick from the year 1984, and the only director that will be on this list twice. This is the only filmmaker that made this list twice, and he has 2 of the next 4 spots. So props to him. One of the all-time greats. May he rest in peace. Of course, I'm talking to you people about Mr. Wes Craven and his masterpiece from 1984. Of course, another, probably my top 5 favorite horror movie. Probably my number 4. I would say it's Dawn, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Shining, and then it's this movie. This would be my number 4 favorite horror movie of all time. It's none other than, and I'm sorry for grabbing the shitty box set, but it's an original A Nightmare on Elm Street. And of course, the scene I'm referring to is Tina's death scene. I think, for what it's worth, the Tina death scene in the original A Nightmare on Elm Street is just arguably I think it's the greatest kill scene of all time. Like, to me, like, people will count down their favorite slasher movie death scenes, and there's a ton of them. I mean, the great nurse kill in Halloween 2, where what the fuck is his name? I fucking met him too. Dick Warlock. Dick Warlock comes from the shadows and stabs Nurse Janet in the eye. So many great kill scenes. Or where, how about fucking, Bay of Blood, the shish kebab kill. How about fucking Phenomena, the chimpanzee kill. I mean, there's so many great. Tenebrae with the woman getting her hand chopped off and painting so many great kill scenes in horror movies. But if I had to pick an all-time favorite, like my favorite death scene, it is this one. It is Tina, of course, played by Amanda Weiss or Weiss. I always say Weiss. I don't know if it's Weiss or Weiss. Amanda Weiss in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, of course. As the movie opens, of course, where we think initially she might be our lead. Because the movie opens, it's her nightmare. She's running around. You hear the scratching screech of this woman kind of running through the hallways of the boiler room. And, of course, Freddy shows up, and you see scratches that he's made on the nightgown. Then, of course, we fast forward to, the two couples, Johnny Depp, Heather Langenkamp, and then, of course, old Nicky Garcia himself, of course, not his real name, but, is what it is. Him and fucking Amanda West, they're sleeping in the same bed, and she starts to have the nightmare where she wakes up and she goes outside, and the way that the tension is built here and the whole, again, psychology, another big thing here, with Freddy Krueger. It's the first time we see Freddy Krueger kill anybody, and I think it's the most effective horror kill ever. Freddy is walking in the alleyway, and his arms stretch out to this amazing length as he's scratching the walls, kind of buttering her up for the kill. Please, God, this is God. As he kind of chases her, shows up in frame. Then she's running back to the house. He pops out of the tree. Watch this, cuts his fingers off and is laughing, because it's all the idea of the psychology is it's not good enough to just kill you. I want you to be at your absolute pinnacle of fright, absolute pinnacle of holy shit, I am scared before I execute said kill. And that's what Freddy Krueger is all about, at least in the first movie or so. And I love that. I think that is an amazing scene, amazing kill scene. And then to go on top of that, as she's fighting for her life and gets split open, Wes Craven does this amazing, innovative thing with this room where they rotated it like crazy. And she's in the corner of the room, Rod, screaming as you're watching the cuts appear, right? We don't see Freddy in the real world. We just see the cuts happen. As she's screaming in the corner. To me, one of my favorite horror movie visuals of all time is this scene where she's in the corner screaming, reaching for Rod as the blood's pouring from her chest, and he's just watching like, holy shit. And to me, going entirely full circle with it, it was the pinnacle of Wes Craven's career. It was the pinnacle of a guy that came from nothing, that came from the sleaze world, right? The Fireworks Woman and Abe Snake and the whole 9 yards and Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes and Deadly Blessing. These low-budget, either porn or exploitation horror pictures that had no money and had to go out there and make some kind of an impact, had to bring some kind of grit. And when you brought said grit to the mainstream, to a studio that Freddy built himself, right? In New Line Cinema and Bob Shea. They didn't have a ton of money, but they had way more than they had on The Last House on the Left or Hills Have Eyes, respectively. To bring that into the mainstream, to me, is something I want to see every up-and-coming horror filmmaker do. It's something that I always yearn for an up-and-comer to do, is something as effective as this. You did something psychologically damaging. You made something scary. You established a villain. You had this creative kill. You did something interesting with the camera technique and the idea of the architecture and, I guess, physics of the room. And then the whole visual of her just plopping onto the bed, dead, split in half. Holy cow. I mean, it's the best. What better tone setter could you have for your movie? It's got to be, it's just amazing. It's, to me, one of the all-time great scenes. It's just really great. I love, the documentary on this, of course, the Elm Street Legacy, Never Sleep Again. They talk about how they filmed the scene. I was like a kid on Christmas because I wanted to know everything that there was to know about this scene and how they did it. I thought it's horror done, but horror done with an imagination. Horror done is still with that exploitation grid. He didn't forget where he came from. That's the difference between Wes and a lot of other guys. Maybe down the road when you get to shit like Vampire in Brooklyn and fucking The Music of the Heart, like that's when I'm a filmmaker, and Cursed and all that. This was, you still got the best of both worlds. You had that exploitation, Wes Craven, but you gave him a little bit of money and he kicked the fucking door down. And that's why I love A Nightmare on Elm Street and this particular scene in Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's see. I had the same Blu-ray set. Yeah, no, the 4Ks have got to come already. What the fuck? This is the cheapest shit. Whoever designed this should be shot. What the hell, man? Horrible. I know you hate this movie, but in my top 4 scene is from T2 when Sarah Connor's having the nightmare about the nuclear war. And I don't hate T2. I just think it's so fucking overrated. To me, people who say T2 is better than T1, I'm like, I can't even see. I literally couldn't even fathom that for me. But again, I respect it, and I know it's an over action movie, but give me Universal Soldier with fucking Dolphin, fucking JCVD all day. I'm sorry. Give me fucking, you're discharged, Sarge. And oh my gosh, I don't know. But I don't hate T2. I'm just, it's one of those, I just think it gets enough love, so I don't show it as much. So I'm sorry for that if I've ever given the idea that I hate T2. I don't necessarily feel that way. But great pick. Not a big fan of Clockwork Orange, but a bit of trivia I think you will like. Malcolm McDowell is in the city for a couple of years shooting a TV show that I have set up lighting. That is so cool, dude. You know, I've actually met Malcolm McDowell when he did, I think the very first horror convention I went to was Monster Mania 25. And that's the night I met George. I met George Romero that night. About 6.5 hours in line to meet George. And the following day, I met Malcolm. And my whole idea was I'm meeting two people for my favorite two movies. I met George, who directed my favorite movie. I met Malcolm, who starred in my second favorite movie. And it was really cool. It was really brief. I have the picture. I have the fucking, it's framed over there. It's a horrible picture. It looks like a bad prom photo, and he looks like my grandfather in it. But I did meet Malcolm McDowell. Fuck, I mean, I if you want, I could fucking grab it. I'll grab it. I will grab it. Why not? I will grab the photo of Malcolm McDowell and I. I will also kill this overhead light because it's killing my fucking eyes. So this was me meeting Malcolm McDowell at Monster Mania. And yeah, I'm sorry, I have a horrible. This is pre-glasses John Grande. This is like, fuck. I mean, I don't think I was driving yet. I didn't have glasses yet. I can't drive without glasses. Fuck. I don't know when this would have been 2013, I want to say. It had to be before George passed, but I know it was one of George's last cons. So I want to say it's like summer of 2013, which would have made me like 15. Yeah, I would have been 15 years old when this picture was taken. So yeah, pre-glasses. I'm rocking my Dawn of the Dead gear. Ugly smile. I'm sorry, I only had one shot at it. It looks like a prom. Doesn't it look like I'm taking fucking Malcolm McDowell a prom or something? This is horrible. Like, I am sorry. Photo ops are so fucking stupid to me. That is like, what the fuck? What is this, picture day? What am I, bring your grandfather to fucking the picture church? What the fuck? I mean, it looks like we took this at a fucking Macy's. But I spent like, I think it was like $50 for it or something. I don't know, I'll just keep it over there for now. But yeah, no, he was a very nice man. It was a very brief encounter. I just shook him. I said, thank you. You know, you have had a really cool career. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. And it was really brief. We just took the picture and I went on my way. But it was cool to meet him. I'm a big fan. And then later, I remember he did the Q&A. He did a big Q&A, and he goes all around and sings and shit. Like his Q&As are a lot of fun. And my dad, he always was in denial about the whole scene or the whole idea that they bought the rights to Sing in the Rain. My dad was like, they never bought the rights to Sing in the Rain. I'm like, do you want me to fucking prove it to you? I will ask the man himself. And I remember my dad was like, sure, ask him. Why not? And sure enough, I asked him, I was like, is that true? You know, did you really buy the rights to Sing It in the Rain? And then I remember he was like, yeah, it is true. And then sorry, I'm fucking with the lights here. I think we're good now. Yeah. I remember I said, is that true? And he said, yes. And I said, told you. And everybody laughed. So I was like it was a big moment where I was like, I told you so, Dad. It was embarrassed the poor man in front of all these fucking horror fans. So it was really funny. That's a memory you just unlocked from bringing that up. Thank you. And that is really cool. I know you've worked on plays and stuff too. Like Come From Away is a beautiful play. So yeah, no, Tom, that is so freaking cool. I can appreciate the impact that Nightmare on Elm Street has on popular culture and horror cinema, but I've never been a huge fan. I think it has something to do with the sequels when the series took a comedic turn. That's understandable completely. I go up to 4, and that's further than some people will even go. Some people won't go past 1, you know, and that's totally understandable. I think once it got to the MTV Freddy, once it got to the Welcome to Primetime Bitch and the dog pissing fire and the karate scenes and fucking Freddy's back and the Dream Child and Freddy's dead and the video games, I get it. There's a point where how much can you dilute and water down something that was so psychologically horrifying and effective like the original movie was? And I know people are going to fucking hate this, but I would throw the sequel in there as well, the second one. I always thought Freddy was just as dark, if not darker, in the second movie. And nobody really likes this. The second movie is such a beaten down movie, and I never saw why. I think you are all my children now. That one totally could have been on a top 10 list of favorite scenes. But I mean, yeah, no, I could see that happening. I love Part 3. I love Dream Warriors. And I love the Dream Master is my favorite of the sequels. I love the Dream Master. To me, it's the most 80s Freddy movie. And that's why I love it. And the Welcome to Wonderland, Alice. I mean, it's just great. But I see that. I respect your take. I think I would say there are even some people that wouldn't even go past 1. So I'm totally, I can see what you're saying here. James Abernathy's in the house all the way from the UK. A little late, but I'm here. I'd like Tom. Okay. Sorry, slight typo. Okay, no worries. Let's see. But I love the tone of the original, love the kills. It's totally with you, man. I'm totally, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. The Freddy in the first movie is an excellent evil character. Pity they made him a comedian as the series went on. Okay, so you sound like you share the same opinion of Matt Landrum. I love watching the making of how they filmed that scene too. Yes, me too. I'm totally there. Yes, I agree. Has to be here and in one of the top. Oh, the Johnny, of course, the murder scene of sucked into the bed. Bah, bah! You know, all the blood being poured from the ceiling. Great stuff. Glenn! I do like A Nightmare. My favorite scene is more psychological when Nancy figures out how to defeat Freddy and he's finished. You're nothing, Freddy. You're shit. That's a great scene too. No, listen, hey, you can pick scenes from all these movies I'm about. The top 3, we're only going to keep going here. I'd like to apologize if I don't always say hello in the chat when others do, because it's late and I sometimes just listen. I don't see the chat. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sure everyone forgives you, man. It's totally fine. Yeah, no, sometimes like I feel bad if I'll miss a comment or something and I'll just be like, oh shit. Like, and then someone will be like, you fucking didn't read my shit. I'm like, I try to get to all of them. This would be in my top 3 deaths without question. Elm Street was the first slasher movie I ever watched. I hate looking at that Blu-ray set. Yeah, me too. I'm the same way. I have the Blu-ray, like the standard Blu-ray, but I just grabbed this one because I was running out of time. Had no idea your feelings on T2. I'm tackling you next time I see you. Well, buddy, I'm going to see your ass next week as we cover the year 1985. So I'll see you then. I will see if you're going to tackle my ass. Only this is God. That line by Freddie is so good. It's all for you. Demon is in the house. Happy Thursday, everyone. The Omen, another one that didn't make any. I don't have an Omen scene on my list, but fuck. Throw a rock and you hit a great scene of the Omen. I think the appeal with T2 for me, at least, is the attempt to humanize the machine and develop the relationship between he and John. It's impossible and heartbreaking, and the action fucking rips. No, hey, I'm not. It is an effective film. I just never. I think because maybe I love the first one so much. Like, to me, the first movie is a horror film. It's a slasher movie, really. And you're Terminator, motherfucker. I just love the first one. I think to me, if you asked me, I never would have had a sequel to Terminator. Never, ever. Terminator 3 is shit, even though whatever her fucking name is, Christiana Loken is fucking hotter than balls. Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis, Terminator Go Fuck Yourself, Days of the fucking Fate of Your fucking mother's asshole. I don't know. They milked that motherfucker dry as the Sahara. I mean, it's just dry at this point. I don't know. I wish T1 and that was it. But I know everyone loves T2, so I'm not going to take T2 away from people. That photo with Malcolm could be a scene from the TV show. It's called Son of a Critch. Yeah, there you go. Malcolm looks like he stumbled off the set of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I remember I was waiting in the photo ops. I wisely, I'll tell you, unless you are like have to meet the person, don't fucking do photo. It's so stupid. Granted, I just did one from Kayako Seiki, aka Takako Fuji, but that was just to ensure I met her because I didn't know what kind of line she would have. Turns out she had no fucking line, so it figures. But I still did the photo op because there's no refundies. So, but I remember the guy before me was fucking weird, and he was like, Malcolm, and he like put his hands on Malcolm's shoulder, and they had to get the guy away from Malcolm McDowell. And then I was like, hi, I'm a big fan. Like, it was the most horrible. I swear that happens. Same thing with Ken Foray. This fucking mental, I won't say that, but this very special person in front of me was being an idiot and decide I'm going to buy $160 worth of shit that I can't afford. He didn't have enough money. And then fucking my dumb ass, hi, Ken, I'm a big fan. I love your performance in Dawn of the Dead. Ken was pissed. If you look at the picture of me and Ken Foray looks like he's posing for a mugshot. He's like, fuck this fucking idiot and his Mets jersey. So, I mean, it is what it is. It happens. Sometimes the people in front of you just ruin all the fucking fun. I agree after Elm Street 4, it gets pretty rough for the most part. New Nightmare is my favorite after the original, though. I love New Nightmare. New Nightmare is great. But I would say I would go, if I got to go top 5 Elm Street, and the only 5 Elm Street, it's the OG, it's 4, it's 2, it's Dream Warriors, then it's New Nightmare. Those are my top 5. And you should not watch The Dream Child. You should not watch Freddy's Dead. You should not watch that abortion of a remake. Don't do it. Just don't fucking do it. The second one is not loved for the vibe he sends. I'm sure you know what I mean. Hot take: Dream Warriors better than one. You know, you've told me that before. That is a hot take. I love Dream Warriors too. I have a blast with Dream Warriors, so totally. And I don't think you're alone. I know a lot of people that would say Dream Warriors is the best. Great show tonight. Thank you, JV. Appreciate that. And what better way to get into the top three? Yes, the top three. We're here. Oh man, this is crazy. This show's flying by. It's only been an hour or so, so these are going pretty quick. As we move on to number three, and again, I don't know if this would be on many people's lists. I know the movie might make a top 10 list, but I don't know if this scene would. Maybe this will be controversial. I don't know, but of course, it is from my all-time favorite movie. You look no further than this beanie. You look no further than this George Romero signed Blu-ray of course, the greatest movie ever made, Dawn of the Dead. Coming in at number three. The zombies invade the Monroeville Mall in Dawn of the Dead. I love the scene. And of course, this is my favorite fucking movie of all time. So, of course. In a movie filled with amazing stuff, in a movie that I believe to be the most grand movie of all time, right? It has comedic elements. It has horror elements. It has comedy elements. It has Western elements. It has biker film elements. It has these crazy Crayola gore. It has the comic book movie element. It has every single thing, action adventure, all of it in one. To me, that's why it's the greatest movie, because it has everything. There's no other movie that is more well-rounded than George's Dawn of the Dead. So picking a favorite scene from it is really hard, but to me, the greatest scene, and this is sort of, I wouldn't say a cheat, but it's more of a sequence than a scene, is the whole finale where the zombies are invading the mall. After the bikers break in, of course, the zombies do as well. And of course, it starts off with all this fun and pie fighting and people messing around and hitting zombies with sledgehammers. And of course, old Tony Booba taking the heart rate monitor and 0 over 0. We all remember what the fun they're having, right? Until it gets serious, until Flyboy, David Emge, decides, this is ours. We took it. It's ours. You're not taking this. And the whole psychology of, this is mine. You're not getting this. Not this. You're not getting it. The whole idea of him taking a shot at these bikers and Ken Foray. What are you doing, man? They're after the place. They don't want anything to do with us. They're not going to bother with us. God damn it, now you started a war. And then, of course, they have to fight these guys. And it, of course, ultimately leads to David Emge getting shot by one of them. He falls down the elevator. We get the great shot of the zombies bull rushing the elevator and attacking David Emge. Flyboy! Flyboy! Screaming. He's Ken Foray screaming for David Emge. Flyboy! And he's not answering. And David Emge's fighting them all off, shooting them and fucking getting bitten and eaten alive. And, of course, we get the great shot of Ken Foray on the stairwell. Of course, leading up to the attic of the mall. And of course, we get that great low shot from from Gornick through the fucking, railings of this place. And then of course, what do we see but the zombies taking over, the zombies invading the mall while we're playing the gonk. Great. I mean, truly one of my favorite scenes ever. Just absolutely great as the zombies are starting to eat these guys in their guts. And we see Flyboy and what he's become, this zombie that has a gun hanging from his finger. And why do they come here? It's part of memory. It's part of instinct of what they used to do. This was an important place in their lives. So where else does he head? But the attic, but the fucking stairwell. And he's scratching, clawing, and biting through the wall as they're coming up the steps. And Galen Ross, what is that? And Ken Foray, it's Steven. He knows who's coming up the steps. Who else knows we're up here, And he gets to the door and he's, Ken Foray, I don't want to go. And Peter, please, for God's sakes, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And the great, David Emge comes through the door. He's a zombie and he begrudgingly has to shoot him and put him away. It's my favorite scene in the movie, and it's probably my favorite scene in George's filmography. It's just so great. Because you're telling the whole story of, it's not necessarily a situation where the zombies were the winners, right? The zombies get the flesh and blood and the zombies are, running amok in the mall. That's not the story George tells. George is smarter than that. And that's why a lot of zombie movies that aren't made by George are lesser of him. And that's the truth. But what makes Romero's movie smart and what always made his whole idea of storytelling smarter to me is the idea it's not that the zombies win, it's that we lost. It was David Emge and the ultimate decision to say, this is ours. You're not getting this. That one shot that he fired cost him his life. It cost them their spot, their location. It cost them everything. That one mistake. And it's not, like I said, that the zombies win. It's that we lose. It's our failure to communicate and listen to one another. And that's why the zombies are the ultimate pawns that take over the chess game. And that's why I love horror movies. It's so smart. The monster isn't the be-all, end-all. The monster is just a pawn. It's our decisions in life that will ultimately lead to our downfall as the dawn rises above Monroeville. To me, it's just the greatest. It's the greatest movie ever made, and I will always stand by that. I love everything about it. I love the performances from Ken Foray, David Emge, Galen Ross crying, like she's losing the guy she loves, and then of course all the other people in the mall getting taken out by zombies or shooting or whatever. Savini with the "say goodbye" creep, and just great stuff, man. I fail to see a better movie ever made than this, but there are two scenes that I do have above it. So we will move on, of course, to comments, and then we'll move on to the number 2 pick. But let's see what y'all have to say in the comments. Ken looks pissed at every picture I've taken with him, even though we always laugh and have a great convention. Yeah, no, he wasn't. He was very nice, but it was a situation where I totally was like so let down because the guy in front of me just fucked it up. Like, and the lady had to tell, like, Ken got up to take a picture with him. She was like, wait a minute, Ken, he can't afford it. He can't afford it. And they got the guy out of the way, and then I had already paid her. And I was like, I want a picture with Ken too. And then she was like, you got to get up again. He went, oh, all right. Like it was just such poor timing. I've heard nothing but good about Ken, so I don't hold it against him. I think it was just an awkward experience. So it happens sometimes. I'd love to meet him again. Got to get another crack at that one. Will Oddity make it on your list? Oddity did not make it on my list, unfortunately. But if you do, please share your top 10. I'm so curious to hear Tom's. Tom, I will say this too. I am sorry I let you down here tonight because I know you were saying you wanted to hear some new ones. This was more my idea. Just celebrate what we love. This is like a show where this will sound a dirty way of saying this, but it's the truth. It's like we're jacking off the movies that we all fucking love, or at least that I love here tonight. This is a celebration of horror to me. Top 3 scene is Phantom of the Opera 1928. Well, Slasher Fred goes to the old school, man. He goes to just when they invented fucking sound in 27. With Eric's face reveal and you see the text on the screen, feast your eyes on my accursed ugliness. Damn, that's deep. They use the shopping mall music from Dawn of the Dead in this movie, Shaun of the Dead, which is a great movie as well. Every time you talk Dawn of the Dead, it brings that story alive. Must be the director in you. I don't know. I mean, I appreciate that's very humbling for you to say. Thank you. It's just the perfect movie. It really is. It's like I truly just can't beat it. It will never be topped. It really. I wish I think someone had asked me on a past stream. They asked me about that Godfather show where it was like the making of the Godfather, and it was made into like a TV series of people playing these people. If you did one of those for Dawn of the Dead, I mean, I would be so fucking excited to see that, man. That would be my dream TV show. Just and I know people say, oh, there wasn't enough problems on production, but it's like, I don't need to see problems. I don't need to see the drama. I want to see how my favorite movie was made. George, that's something George always talked about, right? The movie that made him want to make movies was The Tales of Hoffman. And his whole idea was because you could see how the director did it. You could see everything, all the gags and tricks. And he was like, holy shit, I see now how you did this. Now I want to take a shot at it. And like, that's to me, a whole thing with Dawn of the Dead. It's like, everything you see, it's just so inspiring. It's really great. Flyboy pays the price for his greed and ultimately stands as an example for the satire and the whole story. Seeing Emge as a zombie always gives me oh my God, dude. And the way the walk and the fucking gun, like he doesn't know the gun's on his finger. And the gonk is the perfect song to play. There's nothing else you can play that would fit that scene the way that the gonk does. It's just perfect. The only real monsters in Romero's zombie films are the humans, which is the whole idea, right? And it goes back to Night of the Living Dead of should we stay in the cellar? Should we stay up here, board up, and take our chances? Are we with Ben or are we with Cooper? It doesn't matter. The whole idea is they should have worked together. They should have come up with a game plan ultimately to face this situation. Instead, they argue, complain, and moan until the zombies break in. Karen Cooper breaks loose, and of course, another one for the fire. that's Romero 101. Same, The Crazies is another movie too that has that psychology. I really have to think about my top 10 horror scenes. Well, please think about them, please. You don't have to answer right now. No pressure, guys. I'm not a zombie fan in general, but Dawn of the Dead is a masterpiece. In mine, I'll probably put a scene from Alien when it comes out of the stomach. I love that. I also was thinking the Harry Dean Stanton kill, where he gets the hat off and the drops of water and the cat watches him get. That to me is one of the best scenes ever. That was close. That would be on the top 15, if you will, or that, or even the fucking whole Lambert, get out of the way with fucking. Oh my god, that is like one of the craziest scenes with fucking Veronica Cartwright and Yaphet Kotto. Great stuff. Let's see. It is an epic ending. Horror is awesome. Has metaphors has more metaphors than any other genre. Yes, absolutely, it does. I completely agree with you. That's why I'm a big fan of it. Here are some of the honorable mentions. The Secret and Nim, Nicodemus telling Mrs. Brisby about the original House of Wax, The Face Revealed, Deliverance, The Dream with the Hand Rising Up. Okay, very interesting picks. Tonight on the show, of course, Dawn of the Dead, the zombies invading the mall. That gets the number 3 slot. As we move on to the top 2. Yes, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. And last week, if you were watching the show, of course, where I discussed Last House ripoffs, and that show did pretty good. I did over 500 views, so thank you guys for the support on that one. I did mention that one of the scenes from Last House on the Left would be on this show here tonight, and you look no further than the number 2 slot, of course, with Wes Craven making his second appearance on this top 10 list, and it is from his very first movie, of course, from 1972. The Last House on the Left. And of course, the scene I'm discussing is the Now You're All Alone scene. The scene where, of course, Mary Collingwood, she is taken advantage of by David Hess, Krug and company while they're in the middle of the forest. And to me, I know there are some people, like Darren Bousman said, this is the movie, this is the scene that made him want to make horror movies and things like that. And I totally, I see the inspiration there. Like, I am in that same boat. To lay the scene out for you, basically, of course, the movie opens where we see Mary Collins. She's taking a shower, and we get the great "And the road leads to nowhere" as Mary is taking her shower, and we see a lot of symbols of the time, right? We see peace and love. We see the chain. We see this woman say, "I'm going to go out for a night with my friends, and we're going to get ice cream. We're going to get stoned, and we're going to listen to, this death metal music, all these things." And we see this woman before our eyes as she is slowly but surely entering adulthood. In fact, the opening scene of Last House on the Left is this guy, random guy in a truck that we never see again. And he says, "Oh, that's that Mary Collingwood. She's grown into some real beautiful young woman." And I think that's a whole commentary on what this scene is trying to say, as, of course, the girls, they encounter Krug and company, David Hess and Jeremy Rain, the porcelain dollar seller, Fred Lincoln, ex-porn star, and, of course, Craig Scheffler. And the two of them are taken to the woods. Of course, Phyllis, Lucy Grantham, she is murdered. And, of course, Krug carves his name into the chest of Mary, and then, of course, sexually assaults her in the middle of the woods. And there's the great scene where, after he's done, we watch these characters as the beautiful song "Now You're All Alone" plays. Fred Lincoln is pulling blades of grass out of his hand. Jeremy Rain is wiping blood and dirt and all this grime and spit off of her hands. David Hess pulls up his pants and just looks down like, the hell did I just do? It's the whole moment of his realization of like, wow, that was wrong. Like, I shouldn't have done that, but I did. And I'm a sick bastard and I deserve whatever's coming to me from the courtesy of Mary's parents. But you see it in that moment of his just ultimate, like, why did I do that? And like, oh my God. And the way they look at him too, like, you sick bastard. Like, there's a sick bastard. There's one thing, but you are evil. There's no doubt about that. That's true evil. Mary, of course, she goes off into the corner and she wipes herself down. She doesn't run away. It's not a situation where I'm going to get away. I'm going to get help. I'm going to get freedom. She just goes to the corner, kneels down and starts, "Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." The whole spiel of this woman in that moment, who was an up-and-coming, beautiful woman, who was exploring her womanhood, out for the night with a good friend for some ice cream, drugs, and maybe some boys. It was all taken away for her in that moment. She realizes in said moment, my life is over. I hope God takes my soul, but it's over. There's no coming back from this. There's no escaping. No swimming to shore like the fucking remake. It makes me want to rip my goddamn hair out. No, no, it doesn't work like that. Real life doesn't work like that. Horror doesn't work like that. It's gone. Your innocence is gone. The white flag has been waved. And what does Mary do? She doesn't run for it. She slowly but surely walks over to the pond. Put me out. Put me out like I'm the old yeller. Put me out like I'm the old fucking racehorse that broke his leg. Put me out behind the shed. Don't look. Because what you're going to see is just absolute, utter sadness. And that's what happens to, of course, her character as she goes out into the water and we hear this great music. Now you're by yourself and you're feeling the world closing on you. The way they line up the shot, boom, she gets her head taken off and you just see her dead body floating in the water. Holy cow. I mean, you said so much, right? You touched gray area with the villains, right? You didn't just make them black scale villains. You went to the middle where you see the gray area of these people. These were evil, horrible people, but they were still human. And they, in that moment, it's like, Jesus, like let's wipe this off. Let's take this off my hands. I'm disgusted in myself. Holy cow. You don't see that much in horror films where it's like the villain showing a side of humanity. And then, of course, our victim giving up. I'm not going to fight you back. I'm not going to take your gun. I'm not going to stab you. I'm not going to. No, it's over. You took it from me. You ruined my life. There's no reason to live anymore. I'm just going to walk over to the pond. That's it. The defeat and this utter look on the face of the actress, who I know, of course, she doesn't want to ever talk about the movie anymore. Sandra Peabody. She claims that she was really actually afraid of David Hess. I've never seen her do an interview for the movie. I don't think it'll ever happen. I truly think she believes this movie fucked her up, and it's understandable, and I don't blame her. I mean, this scene alone, to me though, the acting is just some of the best stuff you've seen, and for a theatrical debut. As I've frozen here, I have frozen on my end. I don't know. I'm frozen in an awful position. Am I frozen on your end though? That is the question here. Let me see. If you can hear me, throw up a flare because I'm onto the. Okay, I think we're good now. Now I'm unfucking plugged here. Let's see where we were. Think we were here. I have two in mind, but I think they might be one of your top two. Okay, interesting. We'll do share what that is because we're up to number one. My top two scene is 1983 John Carpenter classic Christine, when Arnie and his girlfriend are at the drive-in and Christine gets jealous and her headlights come on. Oh my God, it's great. She's choking on the burger, right? And then the fucking what song do they play? Lucille? Is it Lucille from fucking Little Richard? Lucille? Is it? I forget if that's the fucking song they play. I think it is. But and then there's the great scene where they're trying to break into the car. You keep on knocking, but you can't come in. You keep on knocking, but you can't come in. Christine is, oh my God. I mean, if you're gonna make a movie about a killer car, you might as well have John Carpenter direct it. And of course, Christine is show me awesome movie. Christine is great. Buddy Rapperton and holy shit, Kelly Preston. Holy shit, I love Christine. Christine is great. Christine is truly a great fucking film. Another honorable mention is the original Village of the Dam, which is the very end where George Sanders' character is in the classroom and he is imagining a brick wall. Okay. It's such a bleak, depressing scene. So good. Love the necklace reveal as well. Great stuff. DK Metcalf is a stealer. Yes, he is. Mason's back in the Berg. Frozen, but good now. Okay, I was frozen. Maybe temporary freeze, but you're good now. Number one horror scene, Rodgers signing with Pittsburgh. No, that would not be the number one. Bad to the Bone wasn't the song. That's the song that plays at the end. What song plays while she's choking in the car? I thought it was Lucille, but I'm not sure. I know the Little Richard song, Keep on Knocking, but you can't come in plays when they're breaking into the car. That's great. And Bad to the Bone plays at the end, and I think at the beginning, but I forget what fucking song. There's a song coming on the radio, and I can't think of it. So if anyone wants to enlighten us of what song is playing, I guess for the nerdy trivia out there, we want to know. But Last House on the Left, not many people commented on it, but yep, that's number two horror scene for me. I just love it. That's a fucking masterpiece of a scene. Coming on to the number one. Now, I guess I could do a couple honorable mentions, ones that just come to mind. I didn't write them down, other than, of course, the Argento opening of Suspiria, which we have already gone over. I would say the Don't Torture a Duckling scene with Florinda Balkan, would be a candidate, where she confesses to the murders that she hasn't committed, and the whole town decides to kill her. And that great song scored, that choice selection from Riz Ortolani, when they stupida, stupida, as they're murdering Florinda Balkan brutally with chains. And that is, to me, one of the best scenes in horror history. That's got to be up there. The ending of The Wicker Man, where, of course, the lead, he burns alive in The Wicker Man, always, to me, one of the best scenes in horror history. The Donald Pleasant speech in Halloween. I met this 6-year-old child with a blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I knew what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. One of the best. I love that. The whole hype behind Michael Myers to build that energy and villain, just great. You could go on forever of great horror scenes, and we really have here tonight on Grande's Graveyard. We've gone through a ton of them. Thinking maybe Goodnight Sweetheart. I don't know, maybe. My top one scene, number one scene, is Jurassic Park with the arrival of the T-Rex and the Jeeps stall in the water and the cups just vibrate. Okay, love Jurassic Park. Bad to the Bone's the first thing in the movie. I Think You Belong to Me is the... Okay, maybe that's the one. I think that's the one, but I don't. The coffee table, when the wife sees what happened to her child. I know you're a mark for the coffee table. You go on about that one. Love the killer reveal at the end of Duckling, the scene where he's falling to his death as a crib. What, the dummy? Yeah, that's right. That guy, to me, always reminded me of fucking Hayden Christensen. The guy playing the priest. That's fucking Hayden Christensen in the 70s. It's the weirdest fucking thing, man. It is absolutely fucking weird. Cheetah, great one. Okay, coffee table, guys. Let the right one in the pool scene. Duckling, I agree, but I'm biased. Oh, well, I love it. Let the right one in the pool scene is fantastic. We see the legs of the kid in the water, and then the fucking head. The awesome stuff. Thanks, Undead. All these dots. Same gag that Fulci used in The Psychic, too. Yes, and we love The Psychic as well here on Grande's Graveyard. But it's all come to this. What is the number one horror movie scene of all time for me? And I know this might get a mixed response. I don't know. I don't know how much people on Grande's Graveyard like this movie. Now, I know we did a March Madness a year or so ago where this movie was the winner, and I know a few people messaged me how upset they were that I would pick a movie like this. But it is, to me, one of the great horror movies of all time. In my top 10, I would stand by it. And to me, it does contain the greatest scene in horror film history for me. And I'm no other than, of course, talking about the movie from 1980, director Ruggero Deodato. I'm talking about the impalement scene in Cannibal Holocaust. I know, probably going to be some controversy. I don't know. People are going to agree with this or hate me for this. I know this movie has the controversial, stuff with the animals, and that's understandable. Listen, if you're not for that, I totally respect it. But for me, when I'm thinking the great scenes in horror history, this is the number one that comes to my mind for every single aspect. And we've touched them all tonight, from top to bottom, from 10 to 1. We have discussed them all tonight. And to me, this one has it all. This has the realism factor of the woman that looks like she actually is being impaled when in real life she was just sitting on a bicycle seat and had this thing in her mouth. Of course, the famous story that Ruggero was put in solitary confinement until they could find the actress to, be in court and appear and say, hey, I'm alive. You don't have to arrest Ruggero. He's trying to make House on the Edge of the Park. That whole thing, the realism factor, how real it looks. And to me, the whole way that the scene plays out. So we have a bunch of people that are watching the film that the filmmakers that entered the Green Inferno, of course, and Alan and played by Carl Gabriel York and Francesca, all of them that they made. We're watching, and you have a brief moment where they say, we're changing the reels now. And they change the reels. And the first thing we see is this beautiful side of the jungle. We see this beautiful green shrubbery and all these just gorgeous things. And we pan over to this image, the image on the poster or the cover art, whatever have you, of this woman impaled on a pole. And of course, our filmmakers, instead of gasping in horror, they say, moving tight, look at that. They get all excited, like kids on Christmas opening up a big fucking present from mommy and daddy, signed Santa Claus. They run up to this fucking thing. And the first reaction that the lead has, Carl Gabriel York, his first reaction is not horror, is not disgust, is not sickenness. It's a smile. It's a sick, sinister smile of what he's seeing. He's like, wow, this is amazing footage. Look what we're getting. And of course, the guy behind the camera, he says, watch it, Alan, I'm shooting. And he has to take him out of the moment. And he, of course, turns his sadistic smile into an overly concerned look and reaction. Oh, good Lord, this is terrible. I can't believe what these natives have done and their strong feelings for primitives. He goes on this bullshit speech. And I love they have Francesca in the shot with him, and she's looking like the rest of us, man. Francesca in that moment is everybody sitting on the couch, everybody but Carl Gabriel York going, you are a fucking sick bastard. This is sick. This is beyond words at how disturbing that this is. Yet you're sitting here with a smile ear to ear. And it was in that moment to me where I felt I had seen horror's greatest, because we've touched it all. We have the beautiful shrubbery automatically moving to the most horrific thing we've ever seen. And instead of the over concern, it's a smile. It's a laugh. Let's have sex in these people's houses after we burned them to the ground, because why not? And to me, the whole idea of, I wonder who the real cannibals are, the whole question that's poised at the end, it's not the people that lived in the tribes. It's not the Yamamotos. It's the people from New York City. These film preps that got on a plane that were afraid of commitment. These people that ran away from their lives in the fucking concrete jungle and found their comeuppance in the actual jungle. Amazing. It's truly amazing how this is played out. And the whole, you get their comeuppance, man. They get what's coming to them. And one of the great horror movie endings ever, too. I love this scene in Cannibal Holocaust. It has everything. It has the psychology. It has the sick, sadistic, sinister villain. It has the realism factor. It also has the beauty turning into said horror. It just has a little bit of everything. It has something to say. And I thought that, in my opinion, I look no further from this. This is my favorite scene in horror film history. I know probably, I don't know if it's one that people expected. We'll see the comments. But that's my number one. I love this, man. I think it's just really, really good. And it's deeper than people give it credit for. I think that's something that the reputation has hurt it for, because I think people just go, oh, fuck. Like, that's just too exploitative for an exploitation movie, which is understandable. I've been there. Trust me. Let's see. You don't know what death is. Halloween 2. Add that great synthesizer score. I like Halloween 2 more than Halloween 1, so there's an unpopular one. The last scene of the Beyond. Oh, dude, the ending of the Beyond is fuck. Drum roll. Well, I've guessed correctly. We'll see. Oof. Yeah, that's a rough one. Yeah, that's one that'll take the wind out of your sails, right? We've been going on for 100 minutes or so, but that's one that it'll take the air out of the sails for sure. Another scene that I love is Eddie Caputo's death in the original Child's Play. That's a good one. That's a total good one. I could have done one on like top 10 death scenes in horror, and that may have been an eligibility for that. Wow. Did not. No worries. We need a terrible towel on the wall. Well, we got terrible towels. We got one right here. Fuck, here. Here's a terrible towel. Here you go. Come on, wave it around, Graveyard. Let's go Steelers, even though we don't have a fucking quarterback right now. Fuck. The ending of Eden Lake would be number one for me. Wow, that's a real curveball. The ending of Eden Lake, that is a depressing ass ending of a movie. That's an interesting pick. But it's funny, both our number ones is rather depressing. The last scene from Bound to Vengeance. I'm very okay to have an Italian director number one. I would have in my top 10 a scene from The Shining. You guys pick one since it's full of iconic scenes. Of course, that's my third favorite horror movie ever. So yeah, leaving The Shining out is probably a big mistake. Blame Sleepaway Camp 3 in May, but it is what it is. I mean, I've talked about The Shining to fucking death. If I had to pick my favorite scene of The Shining, though, it's it would have to be the Here's Johnny, the let me in, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. Fucking, that's I'll huff and I'll puff, and here's Johnny. That's when I think The Shining. That's the scene. Hell yeah, I had no idea what to expect. It's a gnarly movie for sure. I've only seen it a handful of times. It's not one you want to overwatch for sure. I do think it's a great movie, but it's not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart. Jaws, oh my God, dude. Yeah. The kid on the raft in Jaws, that yellow raft, that fucking scares me to this day. I have a hard time watching that. I don't know why. Like that whole sequence is done so fucking good by Spielberg. The Sentinel, dead dad in the upstairs apartment, the fucking jump scare about it, great. Zombie, Splinter the Eye, great pick. Exorcist, the jump scare nurse scene, great. Oddity, the woman in the hallway in the tent. Hereditary, the pole and the decapitation of the girl with the nut allergy. Conjuring, closet scene. The closet scene. Oh, the clap. Is that what you're talking about? The closet scene where they're playing the claps and then you see that and the candle goes out. I think that's what you mean. That's all really good picks. Grande is fire. I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. No, I'm just kidding. I just like doing this. It's depressing to the point where I can't watch it again, but realistically, that's probably the way things would have ended. Yeah, I guess that's how I look at The Last House on the Left. That's probably more like how it would have played organically in real life. So go figure. I think that my favorite scene of all time is Kirsty meeting the Cenobites. Kirsty meeting the Cenobites. That freaked me out so much. Oh my God. Oh, we have such sights to show you. Oh my God. Great. I mean, Hellraiser's so good, man. Like the whole rebirth of Frank too. And the special makeup effects, how that has aged with the Christopher Young music. That's a worthy of it. You could do literally 100 episodes of this and you'd still have stuff where you'd be like, oh, you missed this, you son of a bitch. So, it's tough. I mean, we if you guys want, and it seemed like you guys were very, interactive tonight. So I appreciate that. Maybe we'll make this a running thing. Maybe we'll do another top 10 or we'll do top kills or I don't know, something like that. If you guys are, having ideas like that, please share them. I'm always all ears to your ideas. Bathsheba on top of the closet thing. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the clap because I know that was in the basement. So I was like, wait a minute. That is fucking horrifying when you see that. The whole stop pulling on my feet, stop farting. And out of nowhere, this fucking thing is on the top of the dresser. And they're like, oh, shit. I remember seeing that in the movie theater. And I was like, I remember sitting up, my eyes almost bulged out of my fucking head, man. That's a great pick. And that is one of the scariest scenes in that movie. I love The Conjuring. I love the scene from the Disney classic short animated film, The Old Mill, where you have these animals just cozying up in the mill and the storm hits. Okay, so big animated guy, Slasher Fred. I literally just watched Hellraiser 2 today. Love Hellraiser 2. Hellraiser 1 through 3 is really, really good. After that, it goes to shit. The Box. You opened it. We came. Angels to some, demons to others. Great stuff. Crucifix scene in The Exorcist, maybe not your cup of tea. I like The Exorcist a lot. I would say the best scene in The Exorcist is the whole thing with the priest getting on the subway. Or I think it's the subway. I forget. But there's the great scene where he speaks to this bum, and he says something like, hey, Fada, like he says something like that to him, and it's like, wait a minute, like did the devil just take over that guy? Like what happened there? That always freaked me out. And then later in the movie when they're about to perform it, hey, Fada, like they call back to it, and that, oh man, that always got me. That's great stuff. I don't know. I like Exorcist 3 the best. Like if you ask me what's the best Exorcist movie in that run, which there's not too many good ones. The Heretic is one to be. Not Heretic with Hugh Grant. I like Heretic with Hugh Grant, but Exorcist 2, The Heretic with Linda Blairific is not terrific. It's a bunch of shit. But I digress. I love Exorcist 3 the most. I always like Exorcist 3 more. But that may be because of my age, and there's so many reasons as to why that probably is. Hey, Grande, have you ever watched the 1989 Phantom of the Opera with Robert Englund? Yes, I have. And that was a busy year for Robert. That was, of course, he directed 976 Evil. He acts in Dream Warriors, and of course, also in 1989's Phantom of the Opera, which is a pretty good rendition of it. I always like the Emmy Rossum one. The worst Phantom of the Opera is, of course, unfortunately made by the maestro himself, Dario Argento. One more, Amityville 2, Demon talking to the kid in the head. Oh my God, Amityville 2. Jesus Christ, the Burt Young. There'll be nobody trespassing. I love that, man. I love that. Burt Young and oh my God, horrifying. Just horrifying. And the whole thing with the camera. Oh man, great stuff. I love Amityville 2. I think that's right. He asked for the money. That's right. It's been a minute since I've seen maybe we'll do the Exorcist retrospective. Granted, I would have to sit through the Heretic, which would probably kill me. And if that doesn't, the Believer, Deceiver, I'm not a believer, would kill me. And the Demon coming up from the basement in Amityville 2 is also a favorite. Yes, the camera movements from Damiano. Those are always great. Missy Only, thank you so much. Yeah, no, this was a really fun show, guys. I appreciate the interactive fun and nature with this entire thing is sort of flew by, even though it's coming on 2 hours now. It's crazy. I really do appreciate you all. If you are watching the replay, like I said before, let me know in the comments what you think of my top 10 and maybe perhaps share yours. Next week on Grande's Graveyard, we will cover the wonderful year of 1985 with the legendary AJ Zetro, aka AJ's Happy Fun Time channel, and we will discuss our top 5 each of the year of 1985, no duplicates. So we have to each pick 5 different movies, and we may just be picking them out of a hat. So that should be a lot of fun. And then, of course, the week after that, Grande's Graveyard 300. I'll be posting a video early next week to enter the contest. We'll have some giveaways. We'll have once again, the thing where you could pick your own show. If you want to pick a graveyard show, we'll give away some shirts, and we'll also probably do like a money giveaway or something. But we'll figure that out. We'll send that. We'll post that next week. Great show. See you at the next one. Tom, thank you so much for showing tonight and being so fun and interactive in the chat with us. Don't do Exorcist Believer. I wouldn't want you to have a stroke. Only. Yeah, no, I don't want to have a fucking stroke on my own show. That not before episode 300. If you've done 299 of these and you fucking die by watching Exorcist Believer, David Gordon Green, go to hell. This was great. Have an awesome night, everyone. Haddonfield Mascot, thank you. The newest fan. It seems like you're my newest fan of Grande's Graveyard, so I'm very happy to have you in the house, and you've been, like I said, watching through the archives. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I'm very humbled by it. Landrum, Grande, catch you next time. Landrum, always a pleasure, my friend. Hope all is well. And everybody, thank you so much for watching the show here tonight, and we will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. Too Sweet Peace. And we will catch you next time, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.